My name is Eddie Lindenbaum. I teach survival. I'm a survivor myself, and now I teach others. I've been teaching survival for so many years that it's now second nature. And I want to share with you one of the things which I've learned and which I teach for so long. You ask any frontline soldier who's gone through combat. You ask any athlete which has pushed himself or herself beyond their limitations. You ask any entrepreneur in business who's achieved the highest level of their capabilities. You ask them, what is the most important tool that you have used to get where you have? And they'll tell you, it's the mind. Because you see, in the end, the body's going to break. There's going to always be something stronger than us. Whether if we're in a fight, there's always going to be somebody stronger. Whether on the street, whether in the courtroom in a battle, or whether on the business field, or whether in combat. There's always going to be somebody stronger. So actually, we're going up against not the other person, but we're going up against ourselves. I also teach martial arts. I hold a black belt 6th degree in Dennis Survival Jiu-Jitsu, one of the most extreme Israeli-born combat martial arts on this planet. And when we train, and when my students train, and when they're graded, and they're going through kumite, which is fight after fight after fight, in the end, it's only their deepest inner strength which comes from the mind, which is holding them up there on the mat. In the same way a boxer going 12 rounds, 10 rounds, 15 rounds. It's not the body anymore. It's the mind. We now on the planet, in most of the countries, are going through something which is very much unknown for us in maybe the past 100 years. We're facing a very difficult enemy. I don't have to tell you that. Who am I? I don't know any more about viruses than anybody else. And you know what? Nobody else really knows what's going on. But one thing I do know. I think that most people are still not aware of really what is going on. I think we're still, most of us, living in a place that we don't want to yet accept it. Yeah, it's tough. We're in quarantine. Yes, there are people dying, unfortunately, but it's going to go away soon. Now, I'm not talking about the physical survival here, going up against the virus. I myself, I'm in the danger zone. I'm almost 62. My wife is chronically ill. We're both in the danger zone. So I have nothing new to say about that. But one thing I do know. It's going to be really, really, really tough. Because this isn't going to go away in one day. This, at the most optimistic way of looking at it, will be maybe 2 or 3 months. At the most optimistic. And after 2 or 3 months, most businesses, private businesses, and bigger businesses and corporations are going to be in shambles. They're going to be in ruins. And private businesses, forget about it. People are unemployed. A lot of them are going to stay unemployed. And things are going to get really bad. And it's better that we understand that one day before, not at the last moment. If we understand that, and we start training our mind to accept the situation And I know it's difficult. I know it's difficult. I can't even think of two young parents who have both lost their job, and they have 2 or 3 little kids at home, and they have mortgages and debts, etc., etc. How do they spend their day? How do they spend their day without going crazy with the kids? And what about other business owners who have leveraged themselves, who have taken out loans, and now their business is at a complete standstill? And by the way, so is mine. How do you like that? So I'm no different from anybody else. And I'm not even talking about people who are getting sick and may need to be on life-sustaining machines and all that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about surviving now in a new world, in a world which we do not know. And for that, the only tool to survival, really, is to take care of our minds, to stay healthy in our minds, to train our minds. And the way to do that, and this is like on one foot, because you can't teach this in the space of one video. This is a lifetime of learning. But to train the mind, it's very, very important to start quieting down, to give ourselves quality time for our minds, to feed our minds the right food, whether it's going on YouTube and watching the great masters teaching us how to train our minds, how to be better, how to cultivate our awareness, whether it's reading good books, whether it's taking free courses from universities. Because in the end, the mind is our greatest tool for survival. And we have to train our bodies in the same way. I know a lot of us exercise, and yet a lot of us don't. Now is the time to start, whether it's even the minimum, doing some sit-ups and push-ups and whatever. Taking a bottle of water, 1.5 liters of water in each hand, and just doing some exercises. It doesn't matter what it is. If you think it's tough now, well, I got news for you. If you're going to be sitting around without a job, and maybe in half quarantine even, in another 3-4 months, then you're going to start understanding what tough really is. And even that's not so tough, because I want to give you a bit of perspective here. 80 years ago, only 80 years ago, we had the Second World War, in which Europe was devastated. Millions of refugees walking around in the rubbles of the biggest cities of Europe, without a home, without food, without water, without anything else except the rags on their backs. And I'm Jewish, and I'm not talking about the Holocaust now. That's a whole different story. I'm talking about what went on in World War II. The millions of displaced people. The millions who were killed and wounded in battle. Whether it's in Japan and Germany and Italy and Spain and the United States and Great Britain and France and Greece and all over the world. They had it tough. They had it tough. And you know what? 100 years ago, we had the First World War, in which millions of soldiers lost their lives, sitting in trenches with rats, in 2 meters of water sometimes, barely with their noses above it, in filth for months, and dying just from that, in trenches moving 3 meters ahead, 20 meters back, being gassed and bombed, no food, lying in the mud with dead horses. and the people in the cities being bombed. So basically, yes, the world is changing right now. And things are going to be really different. I'm not saying, like many other people, yes, the world needed a change. I'm not going into that at all. That has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm talking about now surviving that change. Because you have to understand that you have the power to do that. No matter what will happen. And I'm talking now worst case. I'm not talking about being ill and dying. That I'm not talking about. But anything beyond, other than that. If you have a mortgage and you lose your house and you don't have a job and you don't have savings, but you know very well, in the end, really, if you maintain your inner strength, if you maintain your clarity, if you control your mind and you train your mind and you think about things from a survival point of view. What do I have to do for my family? I have to get food. I have to get shelter. Yes, it's going to be really tough, but you will survive. You will have food. You'll find a job. You'll be a laborer. In the great crash in the late 20s in the United States, people jumped out of windows because they lost everything on the stock market. Why? So you lost everything. Did you come into this world with all the riches that you have now? Did you come into the world with all the fancy designer clothes or fancy watches, cars, and homes? We came into the world naked, on our own, without anybody. And also, we will leave this world in the same way, without our friends, without our families, without our riches, without our possessions, without anything. And I know, because I've buried so many people already, actually handed them on the stretcher down to the grave digger. Tens of people. And every time, it's a good lesson. It's a good lesson to think about what's important in life. And what is important in life is taking care of the people around us, taking care of ourselves, doing good for the others, doing good for ourselves. Because when we do good for ourselves and we take care of ourselves, then we can allow ourselves to take care of others. We can take care of them in a much better way. That's survival. Survival emotionally, spiritually, mentally, and physically. Think about that. Think about life. And in order to understand life, you have to understand death. There is nothing to be afraid of in dying. And that's why I'm not talking about it right now. But in order to survive, remember, you have to do whatever it takes. So right now, what you have to do is to cut down on any unnecessary expense and start thinking worst case. Prepare for the very, very, very worst. That's how I live my life. I do my best. I hope for the best. And I've had lady luck with me all my life. And it's lady luck. I'm not saying anything else. It's lady luck with me. I've been lucky. Yes, I've worked really hard, but without luck, who the hell am I? And all the people who think that there's something special, well, I have news for them. You're not. You had luck on your side, and one day that luck can play out. And we see it all the time. So don't think you're higher than anybody, and at the same time, don't think you're lower than anybody. Just be yourself. Prepare for the worst. Start thinking survival. Start thinking what expenses you can cut, where you're not going to pay people, whether it's corporations or whatever, because you won't have. Think about what you really, really need every moment in your life. What you need, not what you want, and not what you think you want. Think what you need. Take care of yourself. Train your mind. Sit in quiet every day. Feed the mind positive things. Take care of your family. Take care of your loved ones. Be there for others. And I know it's tough. And it will get worse. These days, you see, I coach people. And during these days, during these times, I try to support and help whoever really, really needs it without any thinking of money, just so that's understood. If you feel that in any way my words resonated with you, if you feel like you need a few minutes of support and for me to put things into perspective for you, if I can help you in any way, I'm here. The world now is a small place. We are all interconnected. There's Zoom, there's WhatsApp, there's Skype, FaceTime. There's no problem connecting with people. I live around Tel Aviv, but I coach people all over the world. And if you would like to have a 15 or whatever video conference call with me, if that can help you, no strings attached, nothing, no, I don't need your email, I don't send emails, and I don't give a shit because I have my own business and I'm prepared for this. So this isn't any pitch at all, whatsoever. If you feel you need some support, if you feel I can help you in any way, a few minutes of a video call, and if that can get you right, if that can get you on the right path, then just leave me a message. Reach out to me. I'll get back to you. We'll see what we can do together. I'm not saying I'm going to change your world. I'm not. But I might help you just a little bit. And you know what, in my experience, from somebody who found it really hard to reach out to people, I don't reach out to people. I support people. My whole life I've been supporting people. However, in my hardest of times, I did reach out and I found amazing people there. It is said that when the student is ready, the master appears. It's happened for me. So, my name is Eddie Lindenbaum, and I'm from Israel. And if you need anything that I can give you in the area of support or help, you tell me. We'll talk about it. And until then, be safe and take care of yourself. Take care of your loved ones. God bless you.